All right, y'all, I get asked a lot about deadlift warm-ups. So usually when I program deadlifts, it's not the first exercise of the day, but if it is, I like to warm up for deadlifts as little as possible because I don't want to fatigue the muscles that I'm going to be using for the workout. So a few things I do for every workout is foam roll first, and that just like literally my back always pops when I foam roll and I feel like it loosens me up. So if you like it, keep it in. If you hate it, don't do it. I think warm-ups should be as individualized as the workout. And so if you're finding things are working for you, you should do more of those things. And if you're finding something's not working for you, just cut it out. So first thing is foam roll. I foam roll my posterior chain. So everything from back here all the way down to my calves, okay? And a lot of people get really tight, but right in that glute ham tie-in. If that's you, spend a little extra time there. For me personally, I get really tight in my calves. So I like to foam roll there. Okay, especially like, so usually I do squat and deadlift on the same day. I'll do my foam rolling for my squats, and then I don't really warm up for my deadlifts. I'll do ramp ups. So I'll ramp up with 135 on the bar and then do singles. So maybe 135 for a triple and then do singles all the way up to my working sets. And again, this is because you want to feel the weight, but you don't want your deadlifts to fatigue you. I am gonna take you through from beginning to end of a deadlift workout, starting from how to dress for your deadlift workout to how to execute the lift. And then after that, we'll do some form checks. We have some form check submissions by some of the members of the group. And so we'll just take a look at these videos. I'm also gonna teach you how to set up your camera. If you're working with an online coach, this is super important because your coach can't see what you don't show them. So if you're too close, if you're all the way up here and all I could see is your arms, it's probably not gonna work. If all I could see is the bumper, like you're side on and you're right here next to the bumper and all I see is the bumper moving up and down, it's probably not gonna help. When you show your online coach a video, you want them to see as much as possible so they know exactly what to critique. You want to make sure that you're trimming your videos so that they're not watching you, do your little dance before your deadlift or, all that 1 minute, 2 minute setup, grabbing chalk and all that. You want to trim that. You want to make sure that everything's visible, right? You want to make sure that your levers, your main levers in your body, the movers of the deadlift are visible. Hips, knees, hands, where you're placing your hands, where you're placing your feet, and I'm gonna show you exactly what to do. But first, before that, I wanna show you guys how to dress for your deadlift. So, if you'll notice, a lot of people who deadlift are wearing knee-high socks. You want your socks to come up to right here. So this needs to be covered in competition. When you are deadlifting, after a while you get a good idea of where your body is in relation to the bar, and you are able to have the perfect amount of distance between yourself and the bar so that you don't scrape up your legs and you don't bruise up your legs, okay? So that's the first thing, is the socks. You want to wear knee-high socks. Again, my socks are not really knee-high. I could probably pull them up, but you really want to cover it to the crease, okay? The second thing is going to be your shoes. So your shoes here, you want them to be flat, okay? So like Converse, Vans, anything that doesn't have cushion. The reason we do that is because cushion is a shock absorber. And so it's really good to wear cushion shoes for things like running, anything where you want that shock to be absorbed and you want that little spring action. Cushion shoes are great. But in terms of weightlifting and in terms of deadlifting, you want as minimal cushion as possible, because that force that you're exerting, you do not want it to be absorbed by your shoe. You want to exert that force into the ground, and you want to be able to propel yourself against the ground and, you know, use that power to generate force into your pull. It's not just for your strength, it is for strength, but it's also very dangerous for you to wear cushion shoes. I have seen people at competitions nearly launch themselves into the audience because they, you know, the cushion shoe acts like a spring, right? So it compresses and then it releases. So during that release, you can launch yourself forward. So it's not only impractical, it's also kind of dangerous. That's basically what you want for your deadlift kind of outfit. If you want to wear a sports bra or a shirt, it doesn't really matter. Next thing is you want to set up in a space where people aren't really walking all over around you back and forth. If you're going to a commercial gym, you'll probably see a few bars, and so the bar that you are looking for is a bar that doesn't have knurling in the center. So when I say knurling, this is what I'm talking about. This rough area here, this is for the squat, okay? When you squat, you wanna have that knurling because it's gonna grip on your shirt. When you're deadlifting, what you want is a smooth bar here. So you want that nice smooth bar. It's gonna help you not mess yourself up, basically. Another thing is you might notice a subtle difference in the diameter of the bar. So a squat bar is gonna be slightly thicker. It's only a couple millimeters. When you're grabbing the bar, you want that nice thin deadlift bar. You probably don't want a women's deadlift bar. So a women's deadlift bar is gonna be even thinner. If you've ever seen a women's weightlifting bar, it looks like this, and it's made thinner, but for the purposes of powerlifting, you don't want to use a super thin bar, especially if you're planning to compete. Okay, so I'm gonna be using a Texas deadlift bar here, and I'm just gonna set up and kind of show you. We'll start out with conventional, and then I'll also talk about sumo here. Look at that. That's our A-Team logo. So I'm just setting up really light, and I'm gonna talk to y'all about different grips as well, so you kind of get an understanding of why you might see someone with a certain grip and others with a different grip. Which grip is right? Which grip should you use? I have personal biases, so take it with a grain of salt. Make sure you're clipping your bar. This is what I'm talking about. There are all kinds of different clips out there. There's these Velcro clips. These are very easy to use. And this is gonna make sure that your bar weights don't go out to the edge of your bar. And if you're working out at a commercial gym, I know 24-Hour Fitness is guilty of having these hex bars, or they have those edges on them. Try not to deadlift on those. If you do deadlift with those, make sure you're doing singles at most, because you can really mess yourself up if your bar lands on an edge and you're constantly having to reposition yourself. You can misgroove and you can mess yourself up. All right, so super helpful deadlift jack, highly recommend. By the way, I made this platform myself. Set up the bar in the middle of your platform, and my gym is angled. If you work out at home, you might experience the same thing where your surface isn't level. I just put something in front of it to stop it from moving, okay? Okay, super useful. Tripod. Now, I'm gonna tell you this for the squat and bench as well. The perfect height for taking any powerlifting video is right here, 18 inches, okay? So if you don't have a tripod, your bench is the perfect height, okay? And this is because when you're competing, your judge is looking at you from a seated position. So they're gonna be seated looking across, and for depth, they usually look at your knee height, right? So they'll scoot down, and that is the perfect height for you to judge your own depth in a video from a side view. If you look from a top position, you're gonna look like you're hitting depth even when you're not. And if you look from the bottom position, it's gonna look like you're not hitting depth even when you are. When you set up your tripod, it's important for you to set it up so that it's about that height. For deadlifts, you're not really looking for depth, so it doesn't really matter. But what I wanna do is I wanna give you a good view, and the best view is you want to be in front of the bar looking at the lifter, but at a 3/4 angle. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like. If you are looking at a clock, that is at about the 1 or 2 o'clock position, okay? If my face is facing noon, you wanna be at 1 or 2 o'clock. And so I'm seeing a lot of people submit form check videos where you can't see anything. And this is going to be just about the perfect position for recording your video. And I'll tell you why. Here, I can see the plates, the entire barbell pretty much. And when you set up your feet, they're gonna show right here. I'm gonna see your shins. I'm gonna see your arms, where your hands are. I'm gonna see all of you, okay? And I'm gonna see your hips, your head, everything. So this is the ideal position. And let me just show you real quick what a deadlift is gonna look like. All right, so right there, you could see all of me. You could see the way I set up my feet, my hands, my head, everything. A side view is only helpful if I can also see what you're doing. So in a side view, what people often do is they will shoot from the floor, and what happens is I see just the plate and not the person. Let me show you what this looks like. Probably not super helpful, but if you elevate that camera a little bit, slightly more helpful. But really, you want to try as much as possible to get that 3/4 view. Another view that's really helpful if you're trying to figure out your foot position or your arm position is the straight on front view. And let's break down the deadlift, starting from the bottom and working our way up. What I want you to do before you think about anything is stand up, go toward any ledge you have, like a step or a stair, right? Okay, just stand there and then just jump off. Where you land is your perfect deadlift position, okay? Usually people land right underneath their hips, okay? If you watch my rationale before you try this, this is what's gonna end up happening. You're gonna force yourself into a position that you prefer on the deadlift. So this usually works if the person doesn't know the rationale. So that's usually the ideal foot distance, okay? Now, in terms of foot angle or toe angle, I have noticed that if you have that perfect foot position, so if mine is here, what I've found is that turning the heels in, this is very important. It's a very small nuance. You're not turning your toes out, you're turning your heels in. So if this is my foot, right? I'm not turning my toe out. I'm turning my heel in. Do you guys see that? This would be toe out. This is heel in. So your toe stays where it is, but your heel is what's coming in. Okay, so let me show you again. So if this is my deadlift position, right? I landed here, toe out is here. That's not what you want. What you want is heels in. Okay, so if I land here, heels in, this tends to be a better position. This helps for the knees to track properly and for you not to get that knee valgus. This is what I'm talking about with knee valgus, okay? When you have somebody who's deadlifting, right, and they go like this, okay? If you turn your heels in just a little bit, what happens is even if they go in a little bit, you still don't have that significant knee cave, okay? This also helps people engage their quads. If you go a few weeks back for Form Check Friday, I gave the tip of flexing your quads when you pull, and this helps to engage those legs. If you guys remember, I released a YouTube video a few years ago, and in the video we talked about torque and bracing. So I'll link the video below. I'm not gonna go over it because that video itself is a 13-minute long video. So that is about your foot position and how to get your knees and ankles and hips to all work together. In that video, I also talked about bracing. Very good cues in that video. Right. In terms of hand position, when you go to initiate the pull, what I want you to do is I want you to hang your arms down. This is gonna be something different than probably anything your deadlift coaches or powerlifting coaches have taught you. So your powerlifting coach probably teaches you to set the bar up over mid-foot. And I will tell you why I don't like that tip. I like to set up the barbell slightly in front of the midfoot. So there's this sweet spot, right? The idea being that as you initiate your pull, you're not getting any lateral bar movement. What is lateral bar movement? I'll show you, and we'll see lateral bar movement from the side. And there are two ways you can have lateral bar movement, and that is forward lateral bar movement or backward lateral bar movement. Backward lateral bar movement is not as bad as forward lateral bar movement. If you're talking about momentum, you want momentum toward your midline, not away from your midline. And so I'm gonna show you what it looks like if the bar is set up too close to your body. First, watch this. The bar was too close, so when I set up, it went that way, okay? It went away from me. So I had to recover by pulling it back in. I see a lot of people miss their deadlifts because they kick the bar out like that. What you want is for there to be a little gap between your shins and the barbell so that when you go to set up, you're closing that gap and you're barely closing that gap. You're not going too close where you kick it out and it's not too far where you're pulling it in. Now let me show you what happens if the bar is too far away. So what you see is the bar goes toward me and up. That is not super bad. What's bad is if you collide with the bar, and then you get that kind of bouncing motion. It's not a smooth pull. When you find your sweet spot and you set up right where, as you're pulling, it's just going straight up, nice and clean. Think of it this way. This is how I explain it to my students. If you're about to grab the laundry, and I feel like so many people injure themselves while they're grabbing their laundry. You don't grab it like this. Well, you probably do, but then you hurt yourself. You want to grab it as close. You walk up to it nice and close, and you pick it up, right? If you're picking up your kid, you don't grab them from far away because your arms are going to fall off your shoulders. You grab them from up close because it's easier, right? It's the same thing for the deadlift. You want to grab it when it's nice and close and tucked into your body. I'm going to show you a side view, and then we'll do an angled view so you could see both. All right, so that bar needs to make contact with your shin, and it needs to be grazing your shin and your thighs all the way up. You don't want there to be any gap, okay? Let's look at this from the front quarter view. I call this the front 3/4 view, and so you'll see the setup and then the arm placement. Arm placement, if you were to hang your arms like this is where you want your arms to be, where you want to grab the bar. You don't want it in, you don't want it out. Farther out is more of an Olympic grip. Farther in is for people who just want to make the movement harder for themselves. I don't know why you would do that. So I'm giving myself room, bringing my arms up to lock out that bar position, take that slack out, and then I bring my lats back, bring my knees forward, and that's my start position. And then I pull, okay? We covered foot position, we covered hand position, and we covered distance from the bar to your leg. Now, the actual pull, like I said in this last one, pulling the slack out, what does that mean? That means your arms are fully extended, they're not bent. If your arms are even a little bent, you're gonna have a bad time. I've judged a meet where I watched this guy, super strong kid. I watched him pop his bicep. And do you know what it looks like when someone pops their bicep? It looks like if your arm was like a curtain and you pull it and the blinds shoot up. That's what it looks like. So you know why that happened? Because he bent his arm. Your arms are not strong, okay? Compared to your legs and compared to your back, your arms are probably the weakest, one of the weakest muscles on your body. Don't try to use your arms. You're just gonna get injured, okay? What you wanna do to prevent your arms from bending is to flex this, the tricep. And what this looks like is that elbow goes forward like this. Point that elbow forward, lock that, right? Another tip, I know the powerlifting world's gonna be like, did she really say this? Stop using mixed grip, y'all, please. I've seen so many people continually using mixed grip, and I know it feels the most stable in the short term, but in the long term, we see a lot of muscular imbalances, especially in the lower back, especially if you are an enhanced lifter, meaning you take steroids, no judgment. And if you've been doing this for a long time, what happens is the muscles here, mixed grip is basically when you're doing one hand over, one hand under. And what happens is one lat gets stronger than the other, and then one erector gets stronger than the other. You could literally see a difference in thickness, especially in men, because they tend to put on muscle a little bit faster. And so we see all these imbalances going down the posterior chain, and this is like a domino effect. When one thing is affected, the other thing is affected. And since we're powerlifters, a lot of us don't do enough hypertrophy work, a lot of us don't do enough prehab work, and so we get injured over time. Now, I know the overhand grip is really difficult. What I like to teach my clients is the hook grip. Hook grip is an Olympic grip, and this is where you wrap your thumb under the bar and you wrap your fingers over. Everybody thinks their hands are too small. the reality is it's uncomfortable to put your hands in this grip for everybody. There's no person in the world who's gonna be like, oh yeah, I love hook grip, it's so fun. No, it sucks at first, but what happens is you end up in a better start position, because think of it anatomically, okay? When you have an under grip, you're closer to the bar. And let me show you from close up. Overhand grip is, hand is either like this or like this. That's overhand, right? Over under is underhand, overhand, okay? Now, I want you to tell me, if I'm here, which arm is closer to the bar? If I go here, I can be higher. If I'm under, I'm lower. I'm closer to the bar. So when you go over, you're farther from the bar, which, as you guys know, being farther from the bar puts you at a leverage advantage, right? That's why block pulls are easier than regular deadlifts, because they have less range of motion. It puts you at a better start position. It makes you more even. Now, I want you to go back. If you've ever done mixed grip and you failed in a competition, I want you to go back at your videos and watch. Most people, when they pull, it goes this way. Their underhand pushes the bar forward, and that's how they miss their lift. Because when you're here, it's natural to push this way. But when you're here, it's not natural to go out. It's natural to bring that bar in closer and pull closer to your body. So, multiple advantages to hook grip. The disadvantage is it hurts like a mofo. You probably are gonna have to tape your fingers at some point. Your thumbs are gonna hurt. So the way we combat this, there's a few different ways. Do hook grip for as long as you can until you can't do it anymore, and then switch your grip. You can also use straps. So I'm not going to show you guys what straps are today, so we can keep this short, but straps you can use to wrap around the barbell, and then you can use that. A lot of people don't like straps because they say they make your grip weak, but if you're practicing hook grip, your grip's not going to be weak, okay? If you're super close to a competition, probably not a good idea to add that in yet, but if you're in your off season, it's the perfect time to add it in and to start working on it. And nobody says you have to use a hook grip for your competition, but it'll help you in the long run if you are practicing your hook grip, because it's going to save you from those imbalances, those potential injuries. And eventually, if you can do hook grip at a competition, you're gonna have a death grip on the bar. What I've found is that it's not that people fail using hook grip, is that people think they're gonna fail using hook grip, so they don't even do it. Now tell me, did you actually fail, or did you think you were gonna fail so you stopped? Usually it's the latter. Okay, enough about grip. Now let's talk about the actual pull. The deadlift is a lever movement. So when you're doing the deadlift, you are basically trying to put yourself in the best position to lever that weight. What I mean by lever that weight is, if you've seen like a car jack where that little bitty thing you can crank it and it lifts this 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 pound car up off the ground. It's because it's a lever. You want your body to be that lever. And this is why you see very small women who are pulling crazy weight. It's because it's all a leverage, okay? Now that it comes to the pull, when we talk about a leverage advantage, you don't want to use your arms. You want to use your legs, okay? But your arms are what's holding on to the bar. So how do you make that all work for you? What you want to do is you want to use your feet to push off the floor. And like I said, I have that video where your feet are a tripod and you basically spread the floor and you use your quads to really drive that bar up. But the position of your hands, similar to the squat, is going to be forward, flex the forearms, tight grip, tight forearm, knuckles to the floor like this. What you want to do is get that entire body tight and braced. And so there was actually a research study done. There haven't been a lot on powerlifting, but the one that has a good amount of research behind it, they measured like 83 or 84 different tests for what's the difference between the 1%, the strongest 1% of lifters and everybody else. And they found that basically the only difference between these people were the amount of air that they could fit into their body. When they say brace, and you breathe in real big and you expand your body from all sides. In that YouTube video, I also talk about bracing and how to do it, how you expand at all sides. They found that the only difference among 83 or 84 variables was the ability to brace and hold in as much air as possible. They say the Valsalva maneuver, right? When you're breathing in and you're really expanding everything, that is what's going to be the ticket into connecting those legs through that core, through your arms, okay? So let's get up and take a look at what this looks like. There's a lot of things, right? Hook grip, knuckles to the floor, straight wrist, elbows forward, lats packed. Knuckles to the floor, forearms flexed, straight wrists, elbows out, lats packed, and you're right here. And then brace and pull and lock out. So that's gonna be my general technique advice before we get into the one-on-one critiques. Okay? I know I said I'd cover sumo. That should probably be its own video because sumo is incredibly technical, and I don't want to keep you guys on here forever. So Brittany Rayner is pulling 407 pounds, incredibly strong. And she says she's having a hard time keeping the bar close to her body. So I'm gonna review this. And as you see, do you remember what we talked about is people tend to kick out that bar. So Brittany has a really great video. She has the perfect angle. Here it is. This is what I'm looking at, okay? I love the angle of this video. And as you see, she has the bar right up next to her shins, right? So if you look here, can you guys see clearly? She has the bar right next to her shins. So as she goes down to set up, do you guys see that? She kicked the bar out. This is exactly what we were talking about. So the bar is super close, the bar goes out, and then she has to recover. All right, so she would do and you see that bar twists. And so I would assume that she has an undergrip on the right side, just based on her kicking the bar out on that side and her twisting this way. So again, she's super strong, but you see before she even starts, she loses that bar. The bar goes out and then it twists here. And because it twists right there, I'm gonna guess that this hand is an undergrip, which pushes the bar out in front of her, and she's working hard to now recover, and she does a great job. I mean, except for that slight hitch at the end, she would have easily gotten that. So I think that for her, for Brittany, if you're watching this, set up with a bar 1, maybe even 2 inches farther than you are right now. I'm betting you that 407 is gonna be nothing for you. I'm telling you right now, you have a very strong deadlift. But thank you everybody for coming on and watching and submitting your videos. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that we can do this again. It was super fun. And if you guys need help with coaching or with form check, or you're looking for something more long-term where we can kind of dial you in and iron out your technique one-on-one, just reach out to me, DM me, and I'll help you out. All right, guys, it's been fun. Love y'all. Bye. Have a good weekend.